Do you think there's a middle ground when it comes to being too soft or overly masculine when being a man?
Definitely. There's definitely a middle ground. I've seen both spectrums of this. I've seen like really hard, like really far right, where they think it's like masculine, like I'm being aggressive and X, Y, Z, but a lot of times that comes from a place of insecurity,
Mm.
right? Like the guy who yells a lot, who's really angry, like that comes from a place of trying to put this wall up.
Mm.
But then on the other spectrum of that, I've seen it, especially in California, being in the military, just this very feminine
Mm.
style man where you're almost you're trying to be a woman. Like
Yeah.
you're afraid to just be this masculine man
Right.
because people might reject that, or people might, I don't know, be turned off by it. But part of
Mm.
being a man is not really caring what people think.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, like being confident in yourself, being in touch with your emotions, but also your strength and your roles as a man, I think is super
Yeah.
important. So that middle ground, I mean, especially for men, it's a constant balance of like being
Mm.
in touch with yourself and seeing, okay, am I acting out of ego? Am I being
Mm.
insecure? Am I truly confident in myself? Or am I looking at what other people are doing? Like the easy examples, like the gym. Like
Yeah.
you see guys in the gym and they're like trying to bench press like 3 plates. and
Ego
they're like,
lifters. Yeah.
because they're not thinking about like building muscle. They're just worried about what everybody else thinks.
True.
But
Yeah.
then you have
That's
on the
true.
opposite side, like guys, yeah, who just have no aggressive energy in the gym. So there's a good
Right.
middle ground.
Yeah. I feel like nowadays you see the people who are either lazy or too feminine, or you see the guys that are like Andrew Tate. I don't mean to call out names, but like that was a big influence a couple years ago,
Mhm.
being like more masculine as a man. But maybe some of the teachings were good, some of them weren't. Of like I know some of it was like try to attract as many girls as possible. That's not really, when you look at the Christian sense, like we're both Christians, we're not really worried about that. We shouldn't be worried about that, especially because we're both in relationships. You're like you mentioned before this, you're proposing to your wife soon, or to your girlfriend soon.
Mhm.
Eventually, by the time this podcast comes out, it might have happened already. But like, what does it mean to be a loyal man? What does it mean to be like a man? There are some like values that maybe the world would view as softer. So like not being afraid to cry, like Jesus did. I feel like society tells you that you shouldn't be emotional as a man. But sometimes it's okay to be emotional as a man. Sometimes it's okay to be vulnerable. But then also being a leader as a man, like whether that's in your relationship, whether that's as a family, whether that's in your community, we also have that duty. So then I feel like it's finding that middle ground. That's the challenge.
Yeah, man. And I think like Andrew Tate, I've watched a bunch of his stuff. I think he was like the pendulum swings back and forth.
Yeah.
And during the time period that he was rising, like the cancel culture, the wokeness, this you can't say was really rising on the internet. And I think like Andrew Tate, those type of people saw the opportunity that everything was shifting this way. And then to just talk the way he's talking, blow up. You'll get all the media attention, good and bad.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know how much, like a lot of that is probably what he really believes. And then a lot of it is also kind of rage baiting.
Right.
Probably for the views.
For views, you never know what. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's a good middle ground. Like you're talking about being able to cry and being in touch with your emotions, but also not being like a crybaby.
Exactly. Yeah. Like being able to build off of that, or like being able to move forward from that, and like doing something about it, rather than just sitting in your sorrow and crying and doing nothing about it and complaining about the world.
Yeah. And so
versus a different type of crying where you're emotional, but then you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah. And I mean, I think the best examples that I've seen of some of the strongest men have that duality, right? So say in the military, whether you're talking to dudes who have killed a lot of people, right? But then whenever you hang out with them or you shake their hand or you're just talking, they're the nicest person ever.
Right.
You would have no idea what this guy has done. Yeah. But they've learned to turn that switch on and off. And forgot the exact quote, but it's, if you're not capable of violence and you're a very peaceful, easygoing like person, that's not as good or not as, I think, virtuous as being capable of extreme violence, but choosing to be this very nice type of person.
Right.
Because you need to be able to turn it on and off. And I mean, for myself personally, I think a big shift happened when I got into martial arts. So, I mean, we all go through journeys, like we grow up, and for me, I was watching, like, say, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies or like the Rambo movies.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's what a dude is. And, or you're modeled by your parents, and your parents or your dad or whatever male figures might not be the best, or they might be great. But then as we get older, we see people better or stronger or more handsome than us.
Comparison.
And a lot of this comparison, these chips on our shoulders can start to build. But something like jiu-jitsu really, if you stick with it, cracks that ego right away.
Yeah.
Because you could be a buff 220-pound guy, and this 150-pound scrawny nerd is going to choke you out.
You saying that jiu-jitsu humbled you?
Definitely, in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it teaches you that confidence. So it breaks away your ego to where, you know, you don't have anything to prove, right? As you keep progressing, as you get better at this, you become confident in your capabilities, and it also makes you not as agreeable, right? I feel like you have a lot of men that might be people-pleasing, and they're very agreeable in situations. Or a lot of men, they might be chameleons. You know, I've dealt with a lot of this working and growing up as a man, where you're in certain situations and you want to be liked and you don't want to have an opinion outside of what the group might think. And so you're just like, you go with the flow. You people please. But what I've found is, if you become, say, proficient in a martial art, and you're like, okay, if we have a disagreement, right? If you strip everything away, what is the pinnacle of a disagreement between two men? Like, that's, I might have to fight this guy.
Sure. Yeah.
Extreme scenario.
Yeah.
But if you're confident in your ability to, say, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, something like that, you don't want it to come to that, but you know you don't have to agree. It empowers you to have your own opinion a little bit more.
Yeah. Be more prepared. Certain situations might come up where, like, you should be soft and maybe you should be nice, and there's a peaceful way to go about it. But then in a more dangerous situation, like my previous episode with Zach, we were talking about, like, if you're out and someone pulls a gun on your girlfriend, you have to be prepared for that, right? Like, that might not be the most
You got to be prepared to give him your wallet.
Sure.
Like, here you go, man. Unless he turns his back and you can do the quick draw before he turns back around.
Or, like, what if someone, like, wants to inflict violence? Like, they're not just trying to rob you. Like, they're just wanting to cause chaos.
Yeah. And
like, being prepared for that to protect others or the people that you love.
And a lot of, I think, insecurity, you see and we all see the social media, like, videos, like the loudest dudes who have never been in a fight and like are yelling and starting something, and then they pick the wrong person.
Yep.
And they just get handled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of that is like posturing and being loud because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And you have this false sense of confidence. But I mean, if you're, especially as a man, and I try to live it, like, if you're not in shape and you don't know how to defend yourself and you want to be a father or a leader of a family, like, how can you expect your family or your social circle to respect you?
Sure.
If you're not really even respecting yourself or can handle yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I eventually want to have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that I am the role model that they aspire to be.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah.
Because how many dads do you see that might be out there that are soft or like super overweight or pudgy? Sure. And it's like, okay, like, what kind of example are you setting for?
Yeah, it's about setting a good example for your kids. Absolutely. Yeah. We were talking about generational curses before on the last episode.
Good memory, man.
That kind of that kind of relates to that, of like, because maybe someone's dad was a certain way, the kid becomes that way. And that's a good point, that if the dad's not a good example or the mom's not a good example, that can be how the kid turns out. Or if maybe the dad is a good example but tries to force his weigh too much on the kid, they become rebellious. So then you have to find a middle ground in that. That's even more difficult. And obviously something that neither of us know because we don't have kids.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that yet? Like
I
going
have,
into that?
and I've talked to my girlfriend about this a lot. And I feel like a lot of that comes down to, like anything, like setting the example and leading the way.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of dads out there, talking from experience too, might be, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, right? You need to, let's say, easy example, don't talk back to your mother, right?
Yeah.
But then if you see your dad like getting into an argument with your mom or like being rude, it's like, wait a minute, you're being rude.
They're going to see it as okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for my personal opinion, that rebelliousness, one, comes from the outside world, that social media kind of tainting those kids, the phones and all this shit.
Yeah.
And then we're homeschooling. So then when you send your kid off to public school, you're around all of this, kind of these kids that are just might be filled with brain rot.
Right.
Of soaking
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
All the kids have their phones.
Yeah, man. So I think, you know, I don't have kids yet, but I've looked into it a lot. And I think with anything, it's like leading the way and setting the example. Because say in the military, you might have a team leader in your group. And if that guy's a piece of shit, but he's just telling everybody, do this, do this, do this. But he's out of shape. He's not squared away.
He's telling people to do things that he won't do himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to listen to that guy.
No, of course not. Huh. What would you say that, like, what were the top things that you learned while in the Navy as, like, being a man, I guess, that you could carry on into your life now?
It's a good question. You know, there's a lot of things, but I think maybe selflessness is like one of the big things, right? Like a lot of people in the military. So I was a corpsman. And so at the very far extent of that job is to say, if one of your teammates gets shot or if he gets hit and he's pinned down by gunfire or something's going on, suppressive fire is on the enemy over there, you need to be prepared to potentially put your life in danger to go run and grab that guy and work on him. And I mean, whether you're in the infantry, whether you're recon, team guy, like all of these people, you realize that you're prepared to potentially die for either the mission, the greater good, or your teammates.
Right.
And so that kind of instills at a very young age when you join this selflessness.
That's good.
And I think a lot of vets, when they get out, they expect that, like in the regular world. But that has also kind of helped me personally with my family. And then as a man, just kind of realizing that it's not all about me, that the more I focus on people outside of me and trying to just treat humans like gold, everybody I meet, it's going to make my life better. I think that the discipline of like the fitness, if you pick that up, especially at a young age, because we're animals, man. We're racehorses. I think we were born like German shepherds. If you keep a German shepherd locked in an apartment all day for its life, it's going to be depressed. It's going to be miserable. Yeah. Like some people are putting their dogs on antidepressants. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, man. Dude, people will get antidepressant medication prescriptions for their pets.
Why?
Because their pets have like anxious habits or tendencies and shit. And if you look into it, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, you're leaving this dog inside of like a little apartment.
Are they medicine, like, was it specifically made for dogs, or are they made for humans and they're giving it to their dogs?
I think that.
Wow.
I think, I might be wrong, but I think a lot of those medications can cross over and you get those prescriptions for your dog.
That's crazy.
It is, man, but that, and I think having role models, because for me in the military, I always wanted to be a SARC, which is a Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsman. And so they work with Marine Recon.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I joined, I was always looking up at these really amazing men, right? Like these idols, these figures. They're squared away. They're selfless. They're in amazing shape. They're really intelligent. Like they're just the epitome of the tip of the spear. And as a young man, I joined when I was 17. That gives me a North Star to aspire to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Like if I don't want to get up and run at like 5 a.m, it's like, okay, but I want to be like that.
Yeah.
So I have to go do that.
Yeah. Putting positive figures in front of you to be able to try to be like them. That's good.
And like you were saying a minute ago, like a lot of people's family environments growing up really shapes them.
Yeah.
And I felt like I left at 17. And so I had the
Mm.
opportunity. I realize now looking back, I had a lot of patterns of my family members, like their bad habits, their good habits growing up. But then I joined the military so young, I got the chance to kind of become my own person.
And did you realize that you had those habits while in the Navy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I got older and developed, I became my own person. But a lot of people, a lot of young men will go from high school to maybe college in their same hometown. Maybe they still live with their parents.
Sure.
Financial like situations are tough. So they might be living with their parents up until their mid-20s.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're going to become like either your friends or your family.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a huge impact, positive or negative, on you.
Sure.
So yeah, man, I think having those role models, those strong male figures, and seeking them out too. Like if you don't have that in your dad, if you're like, hey, my dad's kind of a like I see this.
Sure.
It's like, okay, well, maybe I get into the gym or like try and find these figures of what you want to aspire to be like.
Yeah. I would say also it's good to be, and we actually touched this on the last episode, that's really funny, of being careful of how we speak of our like father or mother, because in the Bible it highlights, and I found 4 different verses before of like not speaking ill of your father or mother, of how it's a sin to do so. It's not bad to, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say this like it's teaching, but like being able to recognize certain aspects of like what you don't want to carry on, that's good. But like I guess how you go about it and making sure you don't speak that way to others, of like telling other people that your dad was a certain way or something.
Oh yeah,
that's also important.
You would never want to like tell someone, hey, my dad's a
right.
But and again, we're using like language to help really get the point across.
Sure.
But yeah, it's good to recognize it.
Yeah.
It's good to recognize, hey, your parents love you. They want what's best for you. But as a man, we'll just talk about men, especially if you're young, you need to decide what you want out of your life.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to look objectively at, say, your dad. Do I want my life to turn out like my dad's life?
Sure.
Because if I do the things he did, if I take his advice on everything, I'm going to come pretty close to what he's doing.
Yeah.
If I don't want to live like that, okay, what do I want my life to look like?
Take the good and then try to become your own person too. I think that's important. Like not focusing on the bad, because if you focus so much on the bad, you could become that if you focus on that too much. But if you focus on the good and then try to become your own man from that, you can become better that way. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to be aware of the bad, not dwell on it, but be aware of it, because
that's a good point. That was really well said.
Like a lot of people will have, say, these character defects or these shortcomings. Maybe they're not really good at communication.
Sure.
Right? Or they don't really say what's on their mind. Or like I had a lot of these issues growing up, like just not being able to communicate or like be authentically me for whatever type of reason. I had a big chip on my shoulder from my upbringing that drove me to constantly want success in the military. But that chip on my shoulder hurt my personal relationships. And as we get older as men, if we don't acknowledge these things and say, okay, I have some of these shortcomings and I don't really like the way that they're affecting my life or the person they're turning me into, to have kind of the humility and the courage to recognize that and be, okay, well, I want to change this.
Yeah.
I don't like this, because you probably do too. I know so many men that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that have all of this baggage, all of these bad habits that hurt their relationships, all these things, and it's so obvious to us.
Yeah.
And then when you bring it up to them, they either get angry at you, they don't see it, and it's just a pity.
But what if we have that too?
That's
they don't realize it.
Yeah.
But then you have to self-reflect and think, well, what could I be missing?
Yeah, and I think that's where male role models come into.
Yeah, true.
Because like we'll go back to the example of, say, special operations units or say high tier units in the military. If you're like a young man, 18, 19, 20-year-old trying to qualify for selection in these units, you have these men who are holding the standard.
Yeah.
And you're going to get super blunt feedback from them. Like, hey, You're good here, here, here. You're a piece of shit on this.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the regular world, say if you work at a corporate job or you go to college, is just maybe a normal path. Not everybody, but a lot of times no one's going to speak to you like that. And you have to be willing to receive that.
Yeah, true. That's true. I loved what you said earlier about how the military taught you selflessness. And honestly, I think that taught you love. From the way you described it, love for others, putting others before yourself. And that's probably helped you in your relationship with your girlfriend, I'm guessing. Were you with her while you were in the military?
No, so we met at the end of my career.
Okay.
But
like while you were still overseas, is that what you mean?
No, so I'd gotten back, and I think I'd just gotten out, and we had met shortly afterwards. Oh. But both my parents, my mom and my stepdad, they were both paramedics and paramedic firefighters.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I got to, now I look back on it, but I hear their stories of them running on calls and getting no sleep and doing all this. And you recognize the job that they're doing, and they're saving lives. Like they're having to treat little kids who might have got hit by a car, like all of these very traumatic things. And it's very selfless to commit your life to that because it's a very stressful job.
Yeah.
And so joining the military, I wanted to do the most good.
Yeah.
Like my big reason for joining was, okay, if there are people out there deployed right now, putting their lives on the line or dying for our country, as a young man who's capable, I have no excuse not to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when I joined, I wanted to do the most good. And that really did come from a place of love, just loving people. And then I think I was really good at loving and caring for others and trying to be the best for other people, but I did a bad job at loving myself.
Ooh.
You know?
You forgot about yourself while you were worried about others.
Because I put myself under so much pressure. And maybe I needed to do that at the time, but as I started getting out, I was so hard on myself. And it helped in my relationship with learning humility, learning to take a step back and look at my life. Okay, what kind of bad habits do I have? What kind of things inside of me that I would not want my dad to have? Right?
Yeah.
And when I started looking at it from that frame, and when I met Anna, I was like, okay, I want to marry this woman. This is the woman I love.
You know that immediately? When you met her? Wow.
And I never felt that with anyone ever.
Oh.
And I met her, instantly knew it, checked all the boxes. And as our relationship developed, the thought kept popping up more in my mind of, okay, how do I want to show up as a man in this relationship for this person that I love?
Yeah.
And I really need to continually do work on myself because eventually I'm going to have little kids.
Yep.
And I need to constantly remember little Corey, right? Like, what would little Corey want in a dad?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of role model? And as I'm sitting there thinking of what I needed when I was a kid as a father, and I had a good father, but there were shortcomings, and trying to model that in this relationship as a partner for my soon-to-be wife, and then eventually as a leader of a family.
Yeah.
And that comes from loving them so much that I realize I need to love myself and work on myself to be the best version for them.
Wow.
You know?
No, that's you hit it on the spot. Wow. That was I'm kind of speechless. I don't know really what to say to that. That was like I don't have much of a response to that. That was really good.
Dude, and I think I learned all my lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
So everything I'm talking about, I've learned it because my face has been smashed against a brick wall
Sure.
to learn these lessons.
Yeah. What made you, when you were in the military, when you forgot to love yourself, when you were looking out for everybody else, what brought you to that realization?
You know, I think it wasn't until like I had a brain injury on the back end of my career, and that left me in a very like vulnerable place of just physically vulnerable and weak. Yeah. Because your brain controls everything. And because of that, I went through so much therapy and group therapy and talk. Like I had so much time to reflect on my life. And I think realizing that I'd always been pushing for the next thing, and I never really, I never really figured out who authentically Corey was, because I had attached my identity to these things. Like when I was young, it's okay, working out and being the strongest and the fastest. When I joined the military, now my identity is the military, and it's with the Marine Corps and with the Navy, and I want to be recon, and all my identity was attached to these things, and I didn't really know who Corey was.
All the outside things you identified yourself with.
Yeah.
So then you just forgot who you were.
Exactly. And I feel like when I attached my identity to all these things, I really didn't authentically know who I was. So I might show up as maybe a different person in different scenarios. And, life's tribulations and all these things. But I think it's just been a continual goal towards authenticity, of trying to figure out who Corey is and just sticking to that no matter what. Having a good heart, figuring out me, and, and that makes a lot of the other stuff easier.
Yeah, makes sense. Has that helped you in your relationship, like your current relationship with your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Like having an identity with yourself and also being able to lead as a man. How are there any big life lessons you've learned while being in a relationship? How long have you guys been together?
4 years.
Wow. Okay, yeah. In those 4 years, what are some of the biggest lessons you've had to learn? Maybe the hard ones.
We were in therapy one time, or I think I was in therapy.
You guys go to therapy together?
Yeah, and a lot of people look at it as like you go to a doctor for checkups,
right?
Every 6 months or whatever. And whether your life is great, it's like your relationship with Christ. Whether your life is great or it's terrible, you need to maintain that relationship.
Of course.
So when it comes to therapy, as we move through life, we're constantly adding little weights into our backpack of life experiences, of stress, of trauma, of resentments, of all these little things. Yeah. And when you go to a therapy session, you're really just getting the chance to sit down and start pulling out all these weights out of your backpack with somebody and kind of processing them and letting them go.
And you're sharing them with your partner?
Yeah. And so in a relationship, what I found, the best piece of advice out there, if you're in a relationship, I was talking with my therapist and I was saying, well, this happened and it made me feel like this and like this. And she's like, well, did you tell her that? And I was like, no.
You forgot about the communication.
And she's like, well, you should tell her that. And so the best advice I've learned is communicate everything. Keep no secrets, no matter how small, what it might be. Communicate everything, because what breaks up relationships are little additions of resentment. And those resentments build and build and build and build. And that's what ends in a breakup.
I think it's silence. Like silence is the biggest detriment to relationships.
Yeah, and a lot of that
staying silent
comes from that resentment, because then you're both sitting on the couch and you're both mad about something and you don't want to communicate, and then your resentment is just building and building and building. So yeah, man, communication was the biggest thing I learned, and I feel like a lot of men aren't great.
Not having those hard conversations.
Yeah, vulnerable, like, hey, you did this and it made me feel like this.
Yeah.
But you also need to pick your partners wisely.
Sure.
Right? Because you also need to be in a relationship with someone who can receive that in a safe environment. Because say as a man, right? If your wife or your girlfriend comes to you and maybe you're just starting the relationship and she's like, hey, this happened and I didn't really appreciate it. And here's why, here's how it made me feel.
Yeah.
If you answer with defensiveness and aggression right away, she knows you're not a safe person to communicate to.
Right.
And she's going to stop coming to you with those issues and they're going to start to pile up. So yeah, man, communication.
That's a great point. That's something that I think at the beginning of my current relationship, we ran into that, like no big arguments or anything, but we figured out that we were able to talk to each other more and more and more and not really getting to a defensive stage. I'm not really a defensive person. I'm always listening, and she's also the same way. And that's why it worked, of being able to, like you said, find your partner that can receive it. I never thought about it in that like way, but that's a very good point. In most relationships, people won't receive criticism.
Yeah.
They're not willing to receive criticism, and that's why it ends. Before we get back to the podcast, I wanted to share with you guys what Podcast House is. Nowadays, podcasting is much more than just talking into a microphone. It requires quality, consistency, and actually getting your message out there. And let's be honest, that usually requires a team or a studio. At the Podcast House, we take care of everything from the tech, production, editing, and even short form clips for you. We're a fully done-for-you podcast studio in Franklin, Tennessee. You show up, we get everything done for you. Now, back to the show. How do you think men, at least coming from the man's perspective, how do you think that men nowadays could try to start being willing to receive criticism from their partner?
You know, it starts with yourself, right? Like as a man, you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be able to critique yourself personally and accept that critique and do something about it, right? Because say, we'll use weight as an example because it's an easy example.
Weight? Like lifting?
Body weight.
Oh, body weight. Okay.
So we'll say if you're a man and you're pretty overweight, if you're not internally saying like, hey man, I am overweight. I do not like this. I need to do something about it. And internally you're like, yeah, I need to do something about this.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have a much better shot at then being able to go to your girlfriend or your wife and she brings something up to you and you accept, oh yeah, you're right. I see that.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that. But if you're overweight, you know you're overweight, but then you're like, it's just because like food or this, or I don't have time.
You blame other things.
You blame other things. You don't take accountability.
Right.
When somebody outside of you that you love comes to you with these critiques, you're not going to hear it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to blame everything else. So I would say for men, it starts with accountability.
Yeah.
Right? You need to critique yourself. You need to be honest with yourself. And then you can get that from other people. Like for me, I lived so many years in my life not being able to maybe communicate authentically or completely open with someone.
Yeah.
But again, that also depends on your partner. Once you're in a place where you feel pretty authentic and you can communicate, you might be in a relationship with a very toxic person.
Sure.
And you tell that person like, hey, this made me feel like this. You did this. This happened. And they're like, oh, what are you? Some kind of like sensitive little man?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, I'm never talking to you again.
Yeah.
So you got to work on as a man, you got to focus on yourself first. You got to have the accountability. You got to have the humility to critique yourself, improve the things that you want. And then once you have kind of yourself figured out and authentic and you're rolling, then making sure you pick the right people in your life that are going to be able to elevate kind of yourself, you know?
Surrounding yourself with, would you say like a good group of men? Like as a man, surrounding yourself with a good brotherhood that'll keep you accountable?
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, you just need to be aggressively careful with who you associate with.
Yeah. How do you, because you were in the military and you didn't really have a choice who you surround yourself with. Like I played college basketball and I had a certain group around me and I couldn't really control who I was around. Even though you might have different views, I don't know if you had that personally in the military where there were some people that you didn't really agree with or didn't agree with their lifestyles. How do you think as a man you can kind of navigate that? Because in the lives that we live now, I feel like we choose who we want to be around. But in those certain situations, different seasons of life that people are in, you can't choose who you're around. So then how do you navigate who you're around or how much you take in from the people you're around?
Well, I think by you set your own personal standard, right? Like you set the example. Say you work at a job or you're in an office or whatever you might do. You got a lot of bad influences around you. And I recognize that. I'm going to show up to work. I am going to, again, we'll go back to fitness and it's easy to convey. I'm going to bring my meal prep to work with me.
Yeah.
I am not going to pick up smoking. I am not going to engage in gossip, all this I'm not going to waste my time doing what the dudes are doing over here because I don't want my life to be like that. So I think you can be around those people, but you can totally disconnect. If it's like, I don't want to be like these people, I can maybe try and inspire them to be better, which could happen a lot. Like if you stick to your lane and just strive for excellence, you might inspire those people to do better. You might not. That's not your job. But then in your downtime, when you leave, you don't associate with them just because I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
I don't want to go eat alone. I don't want to do this alone. You're better doing those things alone than being with a group of people that are going to lower you down.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think not being afraid to be alone. And then when you are alone, spend that time working on yourself. You know, don't isolate and play video games or do X, Y, Z, but be comfortable being alone and then use that time to improve yourself. And then you can become very selective with maybe the 1, 2, or 3 people you have in your circle.
True. Yeah. What was it? I had something in mind and I was gonna gossip. You mentioned gossip. That's something I forgot about. That's something I feel like men and women struggle with nowadays in the world, but like as men, with social media, the way we struggle with gossip, and obviously gossip is a sin, but it's very tempting to get into gossip. That's a big lesson I've had to learn since, that's actually one of the biggest lessons that my girlfriend has taught me is like staying out of gossip, staying out of drama. And I always had that mindset of like staying out of it, but I never had the mindset of the action to staying out of it, like actually resisting and being like, I don't want any part of
What kind of
this.
stuff would suck you in?
It's just like, I think with me, I get entertained easily. So even though I might not like further the drama or anything, sometimes I just like being in the know. And that's something I used to struggle with. Now I struggle with a lot less. And that is something that me and my girlfriend talked about early on, was like making sure, like building those habits to stay out of that and almost working as a team to stay out of that stuff.
Where do you think that came from? Like wanting to be in the know.
I don't know. I think I have a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. And even like whether it's good or bad, like in high school, like I definitely had FOMO with anything going on. Like I always wanted to be included. I think it's because like at a young age, I wasn't included in a lot of things, wasn't invited to a lot of things. And that's probably where it stems from. But yeah, it's very interesting how men nowadays in the world, we do get caught up in gossip and drama a lot, and we forget that we need to focus on ourselves, keep building ourselves rather than be included in other people's business. That's also a Christian mindset thing that I've been able to adapt since going into the church, of like realizing that I don't need to be a part of everything. Whether like if it's good, sure, try to surround myself with good things, but the bad, try to recognize that. And I guess I wasn't as aware of that before. Now I am.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times it's inherently feminine.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say that too.
They make all these like garbage brain rot shows, The Real Housewives, like pretty much any reality shows, just gossip.
Yeah.
And you walk in, it's like, why are you watching this garbage rotting out your brain?
That's probably where it stems though, is TV and YouTube. We can be involved in gossip and drama from just going on our phones. It doesn't need to be with a friend group or family or anything. It could just be on our phones, watching a TV show like Real Housewives or like the reality TV. Oh, that's affected society now a lot.
Dude, I was reading, it was when I was in the military, and it was by Robert Greene.
I've heard that name.
And he wrote Mastery. I think he wrote the 33 Rules of War or something like that. And it was one of those books. I think it was like the 33 Rules of War or something, Robert Greene. And I was reading this book, and this was really pivotal time. It was on my deployment, and I had nothing to do at times but read. And one of those things that have stuck with me ever since is like the things you want in your life that you need to change. A strategy to change them is learn to despise them. Learn to view them as like the enemy, like evil, like right? So say an example with soda, right? Like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper and stuff. if someone drinks Coca-Colas and Dr. Peppers every day, people can say, hey, those aren't good for you. Don't drink them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but it's my guilty pleasure.
Sure.
But if you brainwash yourself every day to start thinking, this is poison.
Yeah.
These people at this company are trying to poison me.
Right.
This is killing. Like, I hate this.
Yeah.
And I hate that so many people are addicted to this.
Mm.
That'll break it like that.
Mm.
Because you view it as we're wired to have this tribal team mentality, and you're viewing this thing as like the enemy.
Yeah.
And
well,
so,
you're not viewing the people, right? You're
you're
viewing
viewing
product.
the product.
Yeah,
like you're
okay.
attaching it to like this thing that you want to break.
Right.
And so when it comes to gossip, you recognize how detrimental it is for my brain health, and I view it as like sin or like this evil.
Right.
Right? It's like this temptation, this evil that's trying to attack me. And so anytime people start chattering about stuff, for me personally, I either just leave the room, I go quiet, or I change the subject.
That's good.
I make it very clear, if y'all start chattering about nonsense,
right,
I'm going to jump in and we're going to talk about something that's constructive.
Yeah.
And then if you revert it back to gossip, it's my fault for hanging out with you.
Yeah. That's one big thing I've been learning too, is being able to do that. Either leaving the room, just leaving, or trying to change the subject. That's good. It's a good point.
Because people that have a lot of stuff going on in their life, or they're driven, or they're just aligned with the values you want to they're not going to be gossiping.
No.
They're not going to be spending their time talking about X, Y, and Z.
No.
And if you are, I probably don't want to be with you anyways,
right,
or hang out with you.
It's toxic. It doesn't bring any good fruits at all.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's good that in your relationship, y'all are tackling that as a team, because I think that's important too, is in a relationship being a team.
Yeah.
Like having communication and being unified on these fronts. Hey, we agree on this. We agree on this. Like these things of the world.
Yeah.
You know?
It doesn't have to only be the man teaching the woman stuff. It can be the woman teaching the man.
Oh, yeah.
Having humility, being able to humble yourself to be able to learn from your partner, whether it's your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, being able to do that. And I feel like as men, we're so soft to the point to where we kind of cower and like are like scared to say anything to our partner, or we're too aggressive and we think that our way is the best, our way or the highway. We don't want anyone weighing in on our opinions. And that's kind of finding that middle ground in the relationship, being able to be a team, both back and forth, maybe not always agreeing on everything, but being able to have those discussions, always be in communication. Because once communication dies, the relationship kind of dies.
Yeah, and I think both ends of that spectrum come from insecurity, right? So say for my example of me being young and having a big chip on my shoulder and not really communicating very well, that came from insecurity of like, I need to constantly prove my value and prove my worth and succeed.
Yeah.
And say on other ends, like, okay, well, you have disagreeable people and agreeable people. Okay, well, I want to be included. I want to be accepted. That also comes from insecurity.
Yeah.
And so all of these spectrums, come from these places where we're insecure and we're trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a human thing. That's totally normal. But it can be worked on.
Besides communication, what do you think has been the biggest key on your part in making that 4-year relationship last and now going into marriage at some point? Besides communication.
Yeah.
So that's probably number one, I would say. On your part as a man.
Yeah, I think what we've realized is I need to always be putting myself first.
Okay.
And not in like a way of being selfish, but I need to always make sure that I'm continuing to take care of myself with my fitness, with my health, with my nutrition, with my sleep. I need to stay inspired and motivated and have my purpose, right, on this path. I need to have my relationship with Christ. I need to have all of my buckets filled up so I can show up as the best version of me every day. Because a lot of the times when we're at our weakest or susceptible to sin or to sloth or to laziness, it's when we haven't had a good night's sleep.
Yep.
When our meal plan's off, when we're not working out, when we're consuming a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. That's when we could hurt others or not be aware of how we hurt others, especially in our relationship.
So I think communication, and then making sure I'm taking care of myself and focusing on my purpose and my drive. Because then when I have all those things checked off, I am showing up as the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And that also makes your wife the most attracted to you.
True.
Because if you're
psychology, right?
Yeah. So like, dude, and it's funny, it's like the video game thing. It's like if you're a dude who plays video games all the time, she might not say it and she might be cool, but I'd say 80 to 90% of women are always going to be like, oh, why is he just always playing video games?
I brought that up to my girlfriend before. I was like, would you still date me if I played video games? She was like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure about that?
If you're aggressive, if you're doing all the other things and you schedule out time, go for it.
Sure. Yeah. That's fine. As long as you're being productive in your life and video games aren't like the number one thing you do. Or like you don't choose video games over your girlfriend. Yeah. That's also something I think a lot of men forget nowadays is choosing your partner first. Obviously keeping God first, but then your partner, maybe you have like certain work responsibilities or like you genuinely cannot put her first in maybe one situation, but always having that intention, because I feel like women kind of recognize that of like, am I a priority? And I feel like most men don't put their woman as a priority in their relationship. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's where do your priorities lie?
Yeah.
Right. I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago, and he was with this girl, and they were dating, and they were going to do like a cross country move. And I asked him, I was like, okay, well, y'all are moving cross country together. Like, do you love this girl? And he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes.
He's still figuring it out at that point.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, is this like the person you want to marry? And he's like, no. I'm still figuring it out. Like, I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to make this a priority. You're giving a lot of time investment to this. Yeah. And so I think the point that I was getting at is a man, you got to figure out where your priorities are.
Yep.
Right? Like, if you want to get married and to have kids, then if you get into these relationships, it should be a priority, because a lot of guys are going to be, casual relationships and dating. And obviously, right? Like, within a few months if you want to marry this woman or not.
Absolutely. I think you even know within like 30 days. Yeah. If 30 days you haven't figured out the certain things that you want in a wife, and if you don't know if that person has, then what have you been doing the last 30 days?
Exactly. And so in those relationships, and that's a lot of them, obviously you're not going to put it as like a high priority. You're going to be like, all right, babe, I'm going out to the bar. You're like, I'm doing this. Why are you getting so mad? Because in your mind, and you're not communicating that with her. Right. You're not saying, hey, you're not a priority. I don't want to marry you. This is fun, right? But then if you are in a relationship, you want to get married, or you are married, I think, the priorities first come with Christ personally. Yeah. With Christ and maintaining that relationship and recognizing I can't do anything without him.
Of course.
And he really gives me the strength of faith to just live in his name, not my own name. And that pulls a lot of humility out of me to realize, like, hey, I'm trying to do your will. Whatever your will, whatever your destiny is for Corey, please just let me be able to do that.
Yeah. Let your will be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you have that, it's like, okay, well, now for me to be able to do that, I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself to be the very best version possible. And a lot of that for me came from, your physical health, your sleep, and then purpose. Like, as a man, and I've gone through it, if I don't have purpose in like a direction in my life, I'm miserable. Yeah. And I'm miserable to be around. And so like that, she's going to be like, hey, you need to figure out what you're doing with your life. Yeah. And so once I'm on that path, that's whenever she comes in. Yeah. Right. And that's whenever it comes in. Okay. Like, I want to go do this, but it's going to hurt like my relationship, or I might be late, or I might not come to, it's going to hurt my word with her and that trust. And it's all built on communication and trust. Yeah. And if your priorities are off, it's going to hurt that relationship.
Yeah. Casual dating is probably one of the most important issues nowadays for men, especially. I think it's encouraged too much in college, high school, college, or even after college. Casual dating is very common. Depends on what part of the country you're in, but it's very unhealthy, and it it kind of kills trust both in men and women, especially if it's coming from the man side in women, because there's a lot of distrust nowadays when it comes to relationships, because maybe you're given empty promises, whether you're a man or a woman. And that usually comes from casual dating, of like the example that you made of people making these huge life decisions, but not sure after a couple months of dating if that's the person that they want to be with. You shouldn't be making those huge life decisions if that's not the person you want to be with, or maybe not, like maybe until they're your wife or your partner. Yeah, casual dating. Have you? I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but I feel like that's just like a subject I feel like we should talk about. It's so important nowadays. It's a very toxic issue, and it's encouraged too much.
Well, I'm gonna go and put out there all the things that I talk about that aren't good. I've done them.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, like, at one point, I moved, to a different area with someone that I wasn't sure about.
Really?
Because I didn't know how to communicate at the time.
What was going through your mind when you did that? Like, why did you do that?
That it would be comfortable. That this would be the easiest move.
And when you did move, how'd you feel?
It was miserable. It failed, it crashed, and burned.
Wow.
Because I set myself up for that failure looking back, because I chose the easy route and I wasn't communicating effectively. But dude, the casual dating thing is tough because our culture is built around that. And I mean, I think there's good and bad to it, right? Like, let's put a few different, like there's casual dating and then there's like sleeping around. And like really,
that's a good dividing line.
Really racking that up.
So what would you say casual dating is versus sleeping around? Because I guess I was kind of mixing both of those in, because casual dating, that's usually just an excuse to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think personally, like the dating, and for a man, right, it's a good way to figure out what you do and you do not want.
Yeah.
And figuring out like yourself.
Maybe even come up with a list.
Exactly.
I came up with a list before I got in a relationship. I think it's important to have that.
Dude, it's so
physically funny. In front of you.
My girlfriend made a list and then she found me and I was like, checked everything off on this list.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I think like there's studies out there that show like the more partners you have, the harder it is to emotionally bond with someone. Like there's data that backs that up.
Yeah.
But I think the dating is important because you realize what you will and will not tolerate in a relationship, who you do and do not want to be with. Like but some people also get married to their high school sweetheart, right?
True.
That the very first person they dated and they're together the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So it's really a case by case scenario, but the dating aspect really helps you figure out who you want to be with, because the whole end goal of dating is to eventually marry someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ideally.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what it should be, right? Yeah. I think the difference between maybe casual dating wasn't the right term. From what it seems, you're talking about the difference between intentional dating versus unintentional dating. Like the intentional dating is having that list, taking that dating period and figuring out if this is the person that you want to be with forever. But then the unintentional dating is what sometimes the world encourages, of like that you should be with as many partners as you want, casually just go around, go to the bars, sleep around, whatever. That's the unintentional dating. But always having intention is very important when it comes to dating. And that's I guess if you were to call it that, like casual dating, intentional dating, casual dating, that's the right way to go about it, of like figuring out, like going through that list, not taking too much time. Like you don't want to take up a year figuring out if you have to take a year to figure out if that's the one, probably isn't. You're probably in denial, I would think, unless you're just not communicating at all. Depends on the person, sure. But it doesn't take that long to figure out like that list, especially if you have it written out of like, what do you want in a partner? Did you have that before you dated your girlfriend?
I think I had it internally.
Okay.
Right. And this is what I'm so lucky. I'm blessed, and I thank God that I met the person that I'm with now, because she's everything I wanted and everything I didn't even know I needed. And
I've said that so many times.
Yeah. And she continually pushes me to like be a better man. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so blessed that I found that. And a lot of people might not ever find that. And again, that comes back with, you got to know who you are first, and you got to have you dialed in first. So then you can know what you want. And I've talked to a lot of guys that they're in these little relationships and they're like, okay, she's got these red flags, this, and this, but she's also got this, and this. I'm like, hey bro, you're only in this relationship maybe a year or less. My advice, break up with her, cut ties, because there are so many people out there. And if someone, if someone has all these red flags and things that are not aligned with you, if they're willing to work on them because they're also dissatisfied with those things, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You can work on that together. But if she has these flags and she kind of fights you on her, she's like, that's just the way I am.
Right.
Okay, I'm out. And so, yeah, man, I think having that checklist makes it easier to be able to check out whenever you meet somebody. And I tell you, there's so many people out there. You don't have to settle for like someone who maybe checks half these boxes.
It depends on what the boxes are too, because some people have the wrong intention or idea of red flags.
Oh yeah, like don't have the boxes like he has to be 6 foot tall and makes $200,000 a year. Like those aren't the boxes we're talking about.
No, those aren't the boxes we're talking about. I would say, and I guess we can go back and forth on this, of like the most important things as a man, coming from the man's perspective, when looking for a woman is, like you said, does she make me a better man? Does she keep you accountable? I think that's really important. Does she, do you guys have good communication? That's a great green flag to look for. Could other, like, I feel like those are three very important ones. And if those three don't align, if she doesn't make you a better man, if she doesn't keep you accountable, and you don't have good communication, that doesn't work.
Yeah. And, you know, I think one that's always been for me was modesty.
Ooh, right? That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, and again, to each their own, right? Like this is me. Like I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who every time we go out, they have to have their cleavage out. Right. Right. They have to have their ass hanging out of their shorts. It's like, okay, well, we're already in a relationship. Yeah. Like who are you doing this for? Sure. Yeah. This is my personal opinion. Other people like it. But modesty is a big one, because it's like, okay, why are you putting so much on social media? Why are you getting all like showing so much skin on these? Why are you seeking validation outside of our relationship? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And some people, and I've encountered it, some people are like, well, don't let me live my life. Like I'm body positivity. Like this is just me. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, well, I'm out. Yeah. Or you could be like, even come from the Christian perspective of your girl could be tempting other men into lust, and that's not good. No, that's so important. I don't know how I forgot about the modesty thing. That's both as a man and as a woman, of like, do you have your shirt off in public? Like, or depends on where you are, right? Like are you looking for validation as a man, or are you looking for validation as a woman? Exactly. Making sure that you guys are constantly communicating about that. But that's a huge green flag that not many men look for nowadays. I think a lot of men look for a girlfriend who likes doing that because then they enjoy that, but they don't think about, well, other people are seeing that too. That should be only for your eyes. Like how the husband's eyes are for the wife's eyes are for the husband. Nobody outside of that. It should not be anywhere outside of that. Dude, Islam got it right on that one. Burq is all the way, dude. Actually, maybe like to a point of like, maybe like not showing any skin at all. I don't know if I agree with that, of like covering the full face, but you're right. That's actually, well, that's also an old teaching, you know, like that well, in Christianity, that used to be a Christian teaching back like for thousands of, or, you know, before, I guess, recent times, is that women should be covered up in modesty for God and your significant other. And we see that as so alien with Islam, because Christianity has been so like westernized and watered down. But like, yeah, Christianity used to be like that. Letting things slide too much. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, man, with that modesty aspect, like having that come from insecurity, of like seeking that validation, but like it doesn't even have to be just women, because when
we talk about like modern times with modesty, most people just assume women, of like women showing off their bodies. But like I went to monasteries recently, and there's a dress code for men. You have to have long sleeves, you have to have long pants. In old Christianity, that's like how it was. Like men need to be covered up and women need to be covered up, and everything else is just for your significant other.
Yeah, and it's like, where are you trying to get your validation from?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's baked into our society. But yeah, for me, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Is having the modesty, because you really are seeking validation.
Yep.
And like another point on that is, okay, like I don't drink, and she doesn't drink either.
That's great.
And so it's like, when you look at a lot of people, you find a lot of people meet at bars, right? That's the social, that's like the third place that people hang out, is drinking in bars.
Yeah.
But then, okay, if you're in a committed, serious relationship, I'm not going to go out to like the bars or like say downtown Nashville, like by myself or with some boys. Because it's like, okay, well, why do I need to go out there and do that? Like, am I trying to, and again, this is a personal thing for us, like that doesn't make sense, right? And then a lot of arguments can come from those situations of being drunk, being out at bars, or being away with that temptation around you. But modesty, if anybody out there is listening and you're trying to pitch this to say your fiance or your girlfriend, we were talking about it one day and she's already on board with everything, but like, okay, you look at weddings and I bet 95% of weddings you see, the bride has like her cleavage super low cut, her boobs pushed up.
I've never seen. Well, that probably does happen.
Yeah, at her
I'm
wedding.
glad I don't see that.
Well, it's just very common, and maybe not to the extreme, but like the cleavage is out there,
right?
And it's like, okay, this is your wedding day.
It's not talked about enough.
Right.
I think that's why.
This is your wedding day, and you're trying to show off your cleavage for everyone at your wedding. And like, to me as a man, I'd be insulted. But you bring this up. It's like, okay, look at England, right? Princess Diana. When she got married, did she have her cleavage out?
I have no idea.
I
don't follow that stuff.
Yeah. So if you bring it up, did any of the queens have their cleavage out when they got married?
Probably not.
No.
I would assume,
because they didn't
customs, right?
They didn't need validation from anybody else.
No.
Because it's
that's
like,
the way it should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm the princess. I'm the queen. I have my husband here. We're getting married. This is between us. I don't need to show you my cleavage for validation.
Yeah.
A princess is not going to be showing her cleavage out at a wedding, at least in older times.
Yeah. And you should also view your partner as a princess or a queen.
Yeah.
That's actually, I especially early on in our relationship, I always used to call my girlfriend, I still do nowadays, like princess. And then when we're married, she'll be my queen. Of like, it's like a fun little thing. I feel like that's, those little things of saying, giving your partner, I don't know if the right word is validation, but I think that's also a problem nowadays in relationships, is that the partner doesn't give enough validation, like not enough words of affirmation. And that's why sometimes in relationships, the other person might seek that validation. Now, is it right? No, it's not. But we do have a duty in a relationship to make our partner feel loved. And also that's where communication comes in, is how does our partner feel love?
Yeah.
It's a lot of different ways, depends on the person. But we need to be aware of that, or else either as a man or a woman, we will fall for that.
Yeah. And it's really good advice I heard is, you as a man, you need to always date your wife. Never stop dating your wife. Because if you stop dating your wife, somebody else is going to start dating her.
Exactly.
Somebody at work is going to start paying her more compliments than you are. And she's going to start, oh, that's nice. I don't get that from home. It's not right.
No.
But it's the reality.
Yeah. It's, wait, can you repeat what you said at the beginning of that again? Because I was...
if you don't date your wife
yes
continually, someone else will eventually start dating your wife.
And that includes action, like taking action to make your wife or girlfriend feel loved every single day.
Yeah.
We forget about that a lot, to get her flowers or take her on dates or just tell her that you love her.
And it's the familiarity, man. I mean, we all fall into it, of just like getting caught up in like the day-to-day life and the busyness of life, and then we start taking it for granted because they're always there.
Yeah.
And like everything, dude, it's something to be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get into our last subject, podcasting.
Oh yeah.
How's that been going for you, man?
Dude, it's been such an interesting journey, but maybe one of like also the hardest journeys I've been on, because
How long have you been doing yours now?
maybe a year.
Okay. Yeah.
So about a year. And we're growing pretty good, but it started after I got out of the military. I just wasn't sure of my direction in life. And so I started with school, and starting with school and going through that, I like thought, okay, maybe I want to be in business. Maybe I want to be a lawyer. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but none of those things excited me. I was just doing that because that seemed like the thing to do.
Right.
Right. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to be a lawyer. Do you want to be a lawyer? I mean, I'm good at arguing and talking, but do I? No, not really. And so it kind of started out with the idea of, okay, well, I'm just going to give this a try. I'm going to not focus on any like end goal or like monetary, anything. I am just going to have conversations with people that inspire me or people that I want to understand, and really lock into whoever I'm sitting across. Yeah. And it not be performative, nothing. It's like me and you talking about life, right? Talking about your life. Yep. And there's a lot that goes on the back end that you don't realize when you get into it. You need to learn lighting. You need to learn cameras. You need to learn audio. You need to learn mixing. You need to learn editing. You need to learn how to be a good listener and conversationalist. You need to learn all of the media outlets for distribution. Like you need to learn how to reach out to people and try and find guests. And so starting out, I knew people in my network of just, in the military or jujitsu, and I'm really grateful for them coming on and just diving into their life. And as it's grown, man, I just get to hear these amazing stories of people who have done extraordinary things, whether that's climbing Mount Everest or having near-death experiences or being Navy SEALs deployed all over the world, being in combat, and it inspires me, and I hope it inspires other people. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see where it goes, because it's like my goal with the military of never quitting, right? A lot of people quit because it's hard, or they don't immediately see the fruits of their labor or know where they need to go. And so I think by maintaining it as authentic as possible, of when I do the pod, I'm not trying to be anybody. I'm Corey on the podcast. Yep. And when I'm talking to somebody, I'm talking to you as Corey. And it's enjoyable. And I feel like that's the key to longevity for me. Yeah. Because if I'm trying to like put on something, like, and Corey maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago didn't know who Corey was yet. And so he wouldn't have shown up authentically. Yeah. I've been trying to like be somebody. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been a good journey.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Well,
how about you? How's your...
Oh, well, now I'm starting up this new podcast,
that we're on right now.
And it's been fun so far. I'm really excited about the opportunity to do it. And also, I'm in this industry. I own a studio, so I kind of need to have a podcast to be able to validate what I'm doing. But I like the purpose behind it. I like I loved our conversation today. I had a previous one with Zach I loved, and then I'll be doing like solo episodes. So it'll be fun to see where it goes. I don't really have any particular goals with it, I guess, besides just trying to put something good out into the world. Maybe something encouraging for men, kind of like we've had these discussions of men being more manly, but not meaning that you need to be overly masculine.
I think it's figuring out those distinctions, right? Because you should be as masculine as possible, but then figuring out how that's good, like the right model for that.
The right masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like being angry and yelling and trying to run people, like all this that we think is masculine, like that's a very insecure, weak man.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like finding that middle ground, because the world will tell you that masculinity is being angry and wanting to fight everybody, and like that's not right. That's not masculinity. That's what you said. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's some like important topics, and I feel like that's kind of what I wanted to do when I started getting more into social media maybe like 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and now I get to do it in podcasting, which I've always enjoyed. So
did you have early on like strong role models or things that you felt like you needed, or did you feel like you had to go out and find those or find material to grow?
I mean, I think I had two amazing parents that were really good role models for me. And then I always tried to surround myself with good people. I had some great like basketball trainers growing up, who I looked to, and maybe I like idolized sports figures too much, but that was just the basketball world, and I've learned from that at this point.
Who's your favorite basketball player
Of all time, honestly, like now, I like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not just because he's Greek Orthodox, but but he's a from what I've been able to tell, and I know things are different behind the scenes, but from what I can tell, he's a great guy, great husband, great father, and he has good values and like truly does care about his family. Um, I like him a lot as a person. I think that's what I try to focus on more rather than like greatest basketball player of all time. I think it was Michael Jordan.
Dude, did you watch The Last Dance?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
That was great.
Dude, I don't even follow basketball, but MJ's my guy. Like,
Yeah.
just the competitive ruthlessness driving that guy.
It was crazy. And then, well, you hear about stories about Kobe.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's a different animal, like as a person, like as a competitor, I would say, like things that almost didn't seem like human as a competitor. But it's you can take great life lessons from sports. You can also take it in a bad way, but you can also take it in a good way of like the hard work from it. Like I feel like I've carried on a lot of things from basketball into my life now of like being a hard worker, never giving up, always showing up consistently, rather than some toxic things you could take from like college basketball of toxic masculinity or like going out to bars and partying or whatever. Like I was never into that anyways.
What kind of toxic masculinity did you see in that basketball world?
A lot of lust towards women and like trying to make that almost like normal. And I never agreed with that. It was actually one of my biggest struggles being around that in college. Like I hated being around that constantly. I would find myself like I've gone out to like bars before, but like as like the DD, and then I would walk around the town and just like not be in the bars because I didn't want to be in that environment. But being around that constantly every day was very difficult because I didn't agree with that. I never did, never wanted to get into it. But being around it was very detrimental on my soul. And I could feel that every single day. So when I dropped out of college and I was finally able to choose what I was around, it felt like I was finally free.
How'd you decide to drop out of college?
I wanted to start YouTube travel vlogging.
Nice.
Yeah, and I just wanted to start like video making. So I learned how to edit and everything. And I realized that I wanted to play overseas basketball and that life wasn't for me anymore. That was why I was going to college, was just to play professional basketball afterward. And once I realized that wasn't my dream anymore, didn't want to do it. Didn't want to keep going.
Well, nice, man. We're both college dropouts.
You are a college dropout? Maybe I knew. Maybe we've talked about that before.
I mean, I got my associates, and I think, like 10 credit hours away from getting my bachelor's. And then I made the decision to just go all in on the podcast.
That's awesome.
So I was like,
yeah,
you know, because it's like when you realize, like, okay, this isn't like you did. This is not the end goal that I want.
No.
This is not the path that I want to be on.
So choose a different path. Go for it. Yeah. College nowadays, it's needed for certain careers, but not everyone is meant for college. And also the dropping out of college, like college dropout definition of today is like, oh, wow, they must have a really successful business now because they dropped out for a reason. Whereas like 40 years ago, like at our parents' age, being a college dropout meant, oh, they gave up. They're in their parents' basement playing video games. It's crazy how that perspective has changed so much that being a college dropout is almost like a positive thing now.
It is, dude. And with AI and all the like chat, like all, you can learn literally anything.
You can.
Like if you
or just YouTube.
If you just
YouTube
have
YouTube University.
Yeah, if you have the work ethic, the drive, and the vision, you don't need college. Like unless you want to be a doctor, a lawyer.
Yeah. I want you to go to college if you're going to be my doctor or lawyer. Or architect. I feel like, like trade school. Trade school is really good for people nowadays. So a lot of people who are going that route is going into the trades because there's good money in it. I used to. I wouldn't watch it anymore because it's definitely not.
There's a funny
not a great
episode.
show anymore.
I forgot when, but it's a funny episode where like all of the tradesmen are now rich. And so all the college degree people are like outside the Home Depot and be like, "Do you need accounting? I can do accounting."
I've seen that episode. I watched a lot of South Park when I was like in college. But yeah, nowadays I wouldn't, because it's not exactly a good influence, I would say.
It's my guilty pleasure. I love
there you go, guilty pleasure,
and just watch South Park.
Oh no, guilty pleasure, no. But yeah, no, I mean, that's something like I found entertainment in before, but I probably didn't take the greatest life lessons from it.
No,
it's like, that's
Dude, if
that's
you're getting
TV.
your life lessons from South Park, you're hopeless.
It's TV. It's TV at the end of the day. But
and like with Kobe and those guys, like you probably realize it, and I've realized it. Like, say our profession of being podcasting and on media, to really start getting traction or be successful, it takes so much work.
It does.
You got to be working almost like 10, 12-hour days every day.
Yeah.
If you want to get it going.
Yeah.
And like I thought I knew what hard work was until I started trying to progress in this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like I need to really turn it up a gear. And then you look at guys like MJ or Kobe and you get it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, to get to that, those dudes are like pulling 15-hour days, like 7 days a week.
That's what I did when I was in basketball. I would work out probably like half the 12-hour days where I would just be practicing basketball until I could not stand anymore. And that's just how much I loved it. And that's like, those are the life lessons that I think is important to take from sports, and why, like, I want my kids to play sports, but I don't want them to take the wrong lessons from them. I want them to take the lessons that I learned of like working hard, showing up consistently. It takes time to get better at something, having that patience. There's a lot of great things that can come from sports, and I'm glad that God revealed that to me when I needed it, I would say.
Yeah, man. And I'm absolutely terrible at basketball. The absolute worst.
Did you play sports growing up?
I did baseball
when
I was younger, but like I grew up in like South Georgia. And so there's like a certain demographic, and that was like 99% of the basketball team. The basketball team was all super tall black dudes.
Yep.
And then in football, it was all super tall and also just brick house black dudes.
My nickname when I would go to I would go to, there was this one camp in Chicago that I played, and I was like the only white guy there. And all the parents started calling me Dove because I was the only white guy on the court.
Oh, man.
And I thought that was hilarious. I just took it. I was like, all right, you can call me Dove. I don't care.
Dude, was it Larry
Bird?
Larry Bird? Is he like the big white guy?
I mean,
sticks out in basketball
Hall of Fame
culture?
white. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, especially overseas, like European players now, like Luka Doncic.
Who's that Chinese
Nikola
guy?
Jokic.
You know what I'm talking about? Like I think he might be a current
Did he used to
player.
play?
Or he might have used to
Yao
play.
Ming?
He played with
like
maybe
7'6"?
MJ. Yeah, just a giant Chinese dude.
Yao Ming.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That was, he was like, what was he? No, he wasn't the first Asian basketball player in the NBA. I don't think he was, but yeah.
Dude, that's an accomplishment in itself.
Oh, of course.
Just having an Asian dude in basketball.
Right. Yeah. Well, my basketball trainer actually was Korean.
Really?
And he played in the G League. He played overseas basketball. He's still one of my really good friends today. I learned a lot of great life lessons from him. But he was a big deal in the Asian basketball world because he came from Korea, and not a lot of Korean or Asian basketball players get a chance in America. And like, so when he would go back, like when he would, he's not from Korea, his parents are, but when he would go to Asian countries, he'd be like a celebrity. But then when he would be around here, not as many people would know him. But like, I noticed that on social media. I was like, he would take videos of him going back to like Asian countries, and people would be like hounding him. I'm like, dude, are you famous there? He's like, it's a very supportive culture. And I think that's great. Like, that's something I would hope to see someday, of like going to like Korea or China or Japan and just going to like a basketball court outside, like seeing that culture, because it's a very rich culture in basketball. They love basketball. It's very cool to see. I don't know, different cultures. You learn a lot.
Crazy how like big other sports are internationally like that. I forget where we were at some like cigar lounge years ago, and they were playing like sumo wrestling on all the TVs. And I'm like,
Wow.
what is it? And it's like one of the co-owners of that cigar lounge was like from Japan, and he loves sumo wrestling.
Huh.
And so we're just hanging out, and I'm like, dude, I want to do that one day. Like just on our trip to Japan.
Yeah.
Just like maybe if they have dojos or whatever it is, like a training center, just like try a sumo session.
That's great.
Just get absolutely slaughtered though.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. I got to go to church in a little bit.
Yeah.
But thank you, Corey, for coming on the podcast. It was a great conversation. If you guys want to check out Corey's stuff or his podcast, those links will be in the description. The podcast house link will be in the description as well. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to come on the podcast today, Corey.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's the Corey Alexander Show on
Yep.
YouTube, Spotify. Same thing on Instagram.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for
Appreciate
having me,
you.
man.
Of course. Yep. Till next time.